Hey friends, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to Making Memories Monday. For today, we're going to be working on our layouts for stories 12 through 15. That will complete the insert that we have for this, and it will also complete book number 1. We're going to be moving into our second book just to make room for all of the bulk that we have with these paper layers. I did already complete this cover, so I put my pattern paper inside and I did string it with the elastic. I was able to salvage enough of that beautiful plaid so that I could have them mostly matching. Just the spines need to have a little bit of a difference there, but I did make my inserts this time with only 3 sheets of that printer paper, so I'll be able to manage the bulk in these easier. And if I need to create an additional insert, I can just bind those together and then string them into the same elastic so they will all fit nicely in there. You can see how I'm running out of room because I have too much bulk in the outside and I'm getting a bit of a wedge shape. So that's okay. We're gonna keep rolling, and 2 books is perfectly fine with me. I didn't think I was gonna even fill 1. So I have made enough memories to fill 2 books. That makes me very happy. And we are also starting a new adventure in our family. We have rescued a puppy and we are all up in the happy puppy place right now. He is very sweet. His name is Cooper, 6.5 months old, and he's an Aussie Border Collie. We are absolutely smitten with him, and so we are learning a new way of life, incorporating lots of time for the puppy snuggles and walks and all the fun things. So we're pretty excited to have this little guy around, and I have thankfully prepared many layouts to assemble so I can continue to have my content available on Mondays and still enjoy this phase of his life being just a little bitty guy. So we're pretty excited to welcome Cooper to the family, and I am also excited to create a book for him as well. So let's get started on our layouts for today. I have pictures, and we're continuing that adventure we had in Tecumseh at the Apple Lumpkin Festival. So we stopped and had lunch at the Tecumseh Tavern, a beautiful vintage building. It was so nice to get out of all the noise of the festival. They had a carnival as well. So that and all the food trucks and the generators going, it did need a little bit of peace. And so we snuck in here. It was nice and toasty warm. We had our drinks, and then also we had a very nice macaroni and cheese. We don't eat meat, and so sometimes our options are limited, but when we can find a macaroni and cheese entree, we're pretty happy about that. So we had that as just kind of a little break from walking around and getting out of the weather. So I'm really happy to have these pictures for larger pages. And then I also have this smaller picture. It was a fun lit sign they had, and I was thinking that that could be used for kind of a journal image, like a journal card, but just with a photograph. So I've got my paper set up on the left, and I need to also add this to the right-hand page. But because I have too many pictures for one layout and not enough for 2, I decided to incorporate a smaller portion page, and I'm just going to adhere that by folding over that flap and capturing that tail in between the pattern paper and the insert. I'm having much better luck adding my paper to the spine side and then trimming off the excess, so I'll continue to do that. That helps me to know where the bulk of that paper is going to land on the inside, and then once I trim that, it is a nice clean edge. So here is the picture of the building. It's absolutely beautiful. I'm not sure how old it is, but if you look up Tecumseh Tavern online, you can see that. So what I want to do for the embellishments is kind of cover up some of that concrete walkway there, and I'm going to add my number 12. These are beautiful kind of coppery color glitter letters or numbers, and I think it matches that vintagey orange very well. And eat, drink, and be scary is kind of appropriate for this layout. Now I want to add a little bit of detail to the top. So I've got my star and then a little cluster of flowers on this sticker, and just one last detail to finish that corner is a bat. So when I get over here, I've got my two pictures together. This helps to break up that background as well as make room for two pictures on one page. And I did already add a sticker banner for the top. This has a fun little spider that drops down into that macaroni bowl, so I thought that was pretty funny. A few remaining details for this layout is another star and kind of a sentiment strip there and another bat. So I'm going to utilize that picture of the sign as kind of my focal image for this page. And I'm just sort of positioning that so I can tell how much room I need. And I want to have a couple of labels layered underneath. And that orange part did come from the other side of the first sentiment sticker there on the page. So I'll capture those cut ends underneath my photo and add a couple of sentiment strips here, and then one last small glitter star, and that completes that side. I did grab the coaster that we were given when we got our drinks, and I think I really love this kind of graphic pattern. It's a dark on a light background. I do want to bring some of that Halloween color over though, so I'll add a couple layers just to kind of accent the top. And because this was a circle, I thought it would be fun to kind of emphasize that by making it into a faux kind of wreath. And so those stars help to keep that color moving around. So for the next layout, I've got this beautiful black pattern background with what looks to me like the Edison bulbs, those large string lights that you would have outside in the summer if you were, hosting something outside and needed it to be fancy. I'm going to continue to use those plaid offcuts. I do not want to add anything to my scrap stash. I just want to get it used up. So if I'm repeating throughout the pages, I am perfectly fine with that. So we had a chance to visit a really fun gourmet shop there. It had snacks and it had fancy cheese and wine and very fancy pantry staples. And so that was really fun. We don't have anything like that locally. We did at one time have a Harry and David, but that closed sadly. So this was a fun way to peruse some treats that we would normally not have access to. And as I'm looking at these when I worked out this layout, I'm realizing I need to really work on how I take my photos because I'm catching a lot of floor and ceiling and not really capturing the content of the photo that I want it to be, the store itself. So I could have maybe turned my camera to a landscape rather than a portrait, and that would have helped me capture that. But I didn't see that until I got home and really looked at it. What I'm going to have to do is utilize my layering details to kind of cover up those more blank spaces. And so I'm just going to add an additional layer for the left-hand side before I add my plaid. And you may remember this from a previous layout. It was a journal card and I just clipped off the sentiment that was there because it didn't work or fit very well on this side. So I just added that along with my plaid and then clipped off the excess. So the first thing I can do to neutralize that flooring is to stack my photos, but first I want to include some layering details to the back so that they will be positioned exactly where I want them to fall. And this was a nice way to take one die cut and use it in different places to kind of extend the amount of space that it would offer me in my layout. So I've got a large star here and my numbers are another set of glitter numbers, a little bit richer in color, a little darker. These are just thicker though, so they were already pre-made. This is a fussy cut pumpkin, and that came from a set that I got from the Dollar Tree last year, and I'm still utilizing those. So it had a lot to work with. And then I'm going to kind of hide a little bit of those ceiling tiles with my sentiment strips. Now, I really like the sentiment on this card. I don't love the witch. I don't think it really coordinates. So I cut an additional pumpkin and I'm just going to layer that over top. And then there's a couple of details that will help to anchor this arrangement, like a smaller spider web, a glitter star, and then an additional sentiment. This has a fun shaped edge, and that will complete my layout for day 13. For day 14, I have some pictures here that we took. This is the petting zoo or petting farm. I'm never really sure exactly what to call those. If you know, you can let me know in the comments. But I just love animals. And so we actually visited this twice, once on the way through and then another time on the way out. They're so sweet. And this pig, little piggy, was just the star of the show. It was working the crowd. It was getting all the snacks and all the attention. It was so cute. So I've got a collage for one side to take up a lot of the space. And then I'm picking the pattern paper that helps me to coordinate with the grass and the trees and that, just so that it kind of all works together. And so this was a nice way to utilize some more of those offcuts because I have used that pattern in a different layout. So that helps me to work through some of that. And so what I want to do for this side is use this little piggy picture as a tag. I want to pull that out and have an interactive element. So I want to have it tucked into behind this journal card. I'm going to put some Tombow just at the top and the bottom. I'm doing this first because I want it to have enough time to set up while I continue working on the other page. That way, when I put my picture in, I won't be concerned that it could get stuck in wet adhesive. I think this is a perfect opportunity to have a collage. All of the pictures in this are not really worthy of printing in a large format, but when they're all together, they really help to tell a story. And so I'm just going to include a small label behind that to get a little of a detail on that edge. And then for the embellishments for these pages, I'm going to use a combination of some ephemera and then also some stickers so that I can use them up. And they do coordinate because they have the same tones of orange. So I think that looks nice. So here's the jack-o'-lantern. That is really working to hide the kind of dirt that the animals were standing in. That's not the most memorable part of these pictures, so I can neutralize that a little. I've got a couple of sets of some sentiment strips. I think Squad Ghouls is absolutely funny because these were hanging out together and they were being a group, and so I thought that would work really well. For this, remember now I only have adhesive at the top and the bottom, so I cannot add any adhesive beyond the edge of that journal card. So what I want to do is kind of focus from that edge and then work my way over. So I've got a little cauldron and another jack-o'-lantern. This time it's like a pumpkin pail rather than a stemmed one. My number on this is a nice white on a black background. I think that really contrasts well with that Swiss dot paper. And I'm going to complete these arrangements with a couple of die cut flowers from that collection, and then very tiny little stars kind of brings more detail and extends the length. So here's my photo. I want to have something on the edge that will help me to pull this photo in and out, and then also it will add some detail to the side of the page. Remember, I'm trying to incorporate more things off the edge. So I'm just looking at these and they will be working really well back to back. So I can kind of sandwich my picture in between there. And I'm picking a color for the backside that will coordinate with the next layout. The best way to get these lined up is just right along the edge of that matting. And then I will add this one right to the back, and then I can just remove any excess that the sticker shows from that side. And now I have a little pull tab So the little piggy can go in the pocket, and then it will also be a fun detail on the edge. So for the next layout, I do have a cheat, I would say. I think it's in there, and I'll explain that when I get to it. But the photo for this day is a trip to the beer grotto. They have a really nice patio outside. We love to sit outside and enjoy the downtown area. They have truffle popcorn, which is definitely worth the drive. And so I wanted to capture that. It's just a nice little break to sit and have a snack and a drink outside, as long as the weather permits, which our October has been fabulous this year. So for this side, this is a part of a card that I previously made, and I colored all these images with alcohol markers, and this was a card that was a kind of 3D card where you would build up those layers and then it would fold over flat, and then you could ship it that way. But once I had it made, I didn't really know what to do with it. So I took it, all the details back apart, and assembled them into more of a flat profile. And so it's kind of a graveyard scene. I included some glitter hillsides in there just to give it a little bit of extra detail. And then I put on a border of a orange that would coordinate with that plaid. This is really going to take up a lot of that room, and I'm so happy to utilize this because I didn't really know what to do with it otherwise. Just maybe stick it in the box of decor, but now I can have it captured with my memories. So the left or the right hand side corner of this is a little bit dark, and I want to include a couple of my sentiment strips to bring detail to this corner but also brighten it up. And here is our popcorn snack. I utilized the border that was printed with the picture and then put orange on it as well so that it would match. I'm going to